Good afternoon, colleagues. How are you all today? I hope you're feeling great, right? After a long, tiring day. Okay, so my purpose of standing here is to share with you on a study that I've recently read, okay, by Topper and his group of friends. Okay, it's basically how effective communication actually showed improvements in students' academic abilities, be it in class or during exams, as well as in their IQ level. And also the third one is they are more successful in life. So the two ways, okay, the two things which they tackle would be, firstly, it tackles the cognitive competence. It increases the cognitive competence of these students, right? When they think they are competent of completing a cognitive task, they are more confident, and as a result, they perform better in school. The second is that the teacher-student relationship is improved because parents actually interact and engage, right? And because of that, students, when they emulate, okay, how shall I say this, right? When students emulate whatever they see, the interactions between the teachers and the parents, they also see that their teachers are someone whom they can relate to. And as a result, they are actually more comfortable and more confident when it comes to talking and interacting with their teachers, right? That's for the second one, the interaction with, between parents as well as teachers. The same thing also, right? So as a result, there's an improvement in terms of the students as well as the teachers, students and teachers relationship. So I will share with you 4 suggestions that I've thought about over the weekend after reading. Okay, the first suggestion is that how we can improve this effective communication is firstly to improve the current status of our PSG. Currently, it's not doing too well, so perhaps we can brush up. For example, introduce workshops for parents to, let's say, value add their parenting skills, right? Secondly, will be to include perhaps some activities which promotes team bonding amongst the teachers, parents, as well as students. So some ways which you can do this can be in the forms of sports, such as rock climbing, as well as perhaps, which I thought about since I'm a home ec teacher, maybe cooking, right? Cooking classes, it will be very interesting. The third way which we can improve is, of course, to increase the platform for communication, to enhance it. Currently, we only have maybe emails and telephone calls which we call only when students create problems in class, which we don't want to do, right? At the same time, my suggestion is that perhaps we can create a website or blog for parents to update, for parents especially, okay, so that teachers can update their parents on what's going on in class. Although this is, it might be very it might be a monologue, okay, parents are more than welcome to contact the teachers themselves, should they have any issues with their child in school. So, other than that, thank you for listening. Do you have any other suggestions which can be used?
Basically, earlier on, you mentioned about the use of this social learning theory itself. Okay, so basically, from what I understand, that this theory is actually American-based. So how applicable is it in Singapore context? That's for the first question. Okay. And it's the second question, right? For the second question. Okay, so for the second part of the question, since if it's applicable, so how are you going to bring about this theory into the, like what you mentioned, the parent support group and the team bonding between parents and teachers?
Okay, great. Good question. Right, so he was asking if how actually we can apply this social learning theory in the programs that we're going to do. Right, so social learning theory, is it applicable in Singapore? My first belief is that Singaporeans in general, we have this mentality that, okay, if there's a queue, I must join. Right? So in other words, they learn from other people, and okay, when they look at other people, they observe, they will also join, without actually asking or questioning themselves why. So I believe that there is some form of, it's some form of conscientious thing, yeah, that Singaporeans are just made to, prescribe this kind of strategy. So in other words, I believe that it might possibly work. So how best can we introduce into our programs would be, like I said, the positive interaction between parents and students, between parents and teachers, right, can be emulated by the students. So when you increase exposure, for example, when you have parents, students and teachers together in a room or together in an area, right, doing the same thing, interacting, showing cooperation, teamwork, effective communication, students tend to emulate. And when they do so, okay, parents don't usually say to the child, oh, this teacher not good, Most of the time, they'll try to say something good about the teachers because they want their students, they want their children to be engaged, okay, and like the teacher. So as a result, this kind of communication might actually influence the student into believing that, okay, the teacher is actually good, which I believe most teachers are good, right? Okay, so these are the possible ways which we can definitely implement generous social learning. Thank you.